I built it about 2 years ago, and it's been a lifesaver. When I was building it, I had a couple of buddies that thought I was crazy and didn't really understand how it worked until I got it built. And then once we used it the first time we loaded cattle, they were both here, and they were pretty much in awe about how everything flowed so fluently and just easily. Everything works so good.
Here with Dr. Justin Wagner, our extension beef specialist from the Southwest area. Dr. Wagner will focus largely on beef nutrition, feedlot nutrition, but also does a great deal with workmanship and facilities management. So we're here at the morning after our winter ranch management and profitability meeting, and we convinced him to stick around so we could grill him a little bit on the Bud Box facility and answer some of the questions that we've been getting nonstop here at the Post Rock Extension District. So Dr. Wagner, what are some of your quick takeaways on the improvements that can be made to a different working facility and some of the added value that a Bud Box may bring to various operations?
Well, I think, Barrett, there's a lot of different things. One, it kind of depends on, what type of facility that it's going to be. What type of cattle are they going to run through it. The biggest thing I tell people to start is take your existing facilities if you have one. Really kind of figure out, how you've been using it, what aspects of it don't work. It may be as simple as a lot of these things come back to how we handle livestock, how we handle cattle, and even a facility that may not be designed very, very well, or one that could be designed better with some simple adjustments in terms of how we approach it from the stockmanship side, we can make some vast improvements on how that facility works for us. They can be small changes. One of the things I do like about a Bud Box, just as itself, is it's a very simple design. Working facilities can be inherently complex to both lay out. If we look at getting into complex arch, reverse 180-degree sweep alleys, and laying that out on farm can be very difficult. With a Bud Box setup, the angles are straight, they're 90-degree angles. If you can build fence, you could probably put together that type of facility. So they're very simple. They lend themselves to a lot of different footprints if you're working with an existing facility where you're confined to a structure inside of a barn. They have quite a bit of adaptability. We can put them in a lot of different situations and make them work relatively well.
From the camera's point of view there, we bring the cattle in from the south, and they go north into the back of the pen here, and then bring this gate around, and then you walk down next to them, and they sort of circle around and start hitting this hole here to head to the truck. Then once you get a few heads started on the truck, you can grab this other gate and pinch them down to a 3-foot alley, and they pretty much just finish out themselves, loading themselves on the truck. It just works really good. Everything moves really easily usually in there, as long as you don't get too many cattle. Is the biggest deal.
What would you say for younger producers, or my generation of producers? We've grown up and probably most of the systems we worked in have been double S-curve tub type systems, and we followed a lot of Temple Grandin-esque systems. Why are we seeing so much more of this? Is there as big of a difference as we think with the 90-degree corners and the whole 9 yards, or what are some of the similarities or differences between the systems?
Well, I think to put it very simply, the cattle behaviors haven't changed. So as we look at cattle in those variety of facilities, there's quite a few things with the cattle behavior and the stockmanship that's kind of where I come back to. Those are the same within those two types of facilities. If you have that older tub style facility, cattle still want to go around and buy you. They still want to be with other cattle. They're still going to go back from the direction from which they came when we pressure them. So those things are all the same. And so if you've grown up in that facility, kind of coming back and say, okay, am I using those fundamental concepts of stockmanship? I think the biggest difference between a lot of those type of facilities that you reference is a lot of them had, pretty high solid sides. With a Bud Box or, kind of our newer, the biggest change, I guess I would say, in some of our newer facilities is we're making it more open. What we've determined is that sight is the most effective tool that we have to move cattle. They're not as responsive to sound, although a lot of people think that we're going to get more done if we make a little more noise. And that's not the case. They're really responding off of our body movement and how they perceive that and how they're able to see that. And so what we're doing now is we're beginning to open up those facilities up. If they've got the higher sides, maybe taking that inside radius, opening that up to where those cattle have got an easy line of sight to the handler, that can make a big difference. In a lot of those facilities that have those higher sides, really the only place that the cattle could see us was above and behind them, which is an area they can see us in that area, but it's not nearly as effective if we can get down on their level and come at them from the side, or kind of meet them at the rib, if you will.
And I also would like to ask you, you've mentioned to me before that you've had several different setups with the bud box. Some of them steers coming off wheat pasture, cows coming off grass, to permanent solid-sided structures. Talk a little bit about the versatility, or maybe share for someone who's not familiar with the bud box how easy it can be to try something, and then before you put post in the ground or anything else, you can manipulate your situation and see what you really like with basically a short list of supplies, right?
Yeah, what I recommend people do is, if they haven't had any experience with a bud box, go online, look up some of our publications. We've got a good one out on bud box that kind of gives you the basic layout. You can put together a bud box and use it moving cattle with essentially about 6 to 8 panels. You do need a gate panel, some other things like that in terms of how you arrange those panels, but it really gives, they're not hard to set up. It's a good way if you're moving some cows off of some milo stocks, or gathering some cattle in a remote location. Set it up, see how it works for you, give it a try. What do you have to lose? You haven't committed to it yet. It gives you a chance to kind of work through, hey, I think this will really work for me, and make an improvement before you go to that point of setting some pipe and some posts and concrete.
Awesome. So Dr. Wagner mentioned our publication that he had a great deal in helping out with, and that's designing a bud box. So there's several different topics that'll go into this publication. We've got them at all 5 Post Rock Extension District offices, and we'd love to get that in your hands. Just swing by any office, or contact me. My information is on the screen, and if I can't help you out, I'd be glad to put you in touch with Dr. Wagner and help you modify or build a new facility that you deem fit for your operation.